Okay, so we're blasting on right from the last tutorial. We're going to talk about overloading. And overloading is basically just having a method that has the same name but has different inputs, right? It's a really easy concept to understand. So let's go into our square class and we're going to look at this function here, print. Maybe what we want is a standard way of printing. So the standard way is with the hash symbols. But we also want to print with a specific character. We could make a new method for this, but maybe we don't want to. We want to logically keep the print methods together. So what we could do is we could overload print. And to do this, we use the same signature, the public void print, but we have to give it different inputs. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it a character input, and we're going to call that character C, let's say. So I'm actually going to copy paste most of this logic, and I'm going to change this hash to C instead. So what have we done? How does the computer know what to do? Well, it's basically when you call the print method, it's going to look at the inputs you've given it and then decide which function it's going to execute, right? If I call print on a square, it's going to just print it with hashes, but if I call print and give it a character, it's going to print with the character instead. So if I go back to the main class and now do herald.print, you still see that that is totally valid, right? But now let's pass in the @ symbol, this, right? Press OK, boom, we print a square with @ symbols. Let's try, I don't know, like K. Square K's. No, not K. I don't want to say KKK over and over. Let's go Y's instead. Y, 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 Y. Okay, perfect, right? So the method overload, basically all it did was give us choices in how we can decide to print things. And if you look at the IntelliSense, we are now given print void with a char. And we know that we can call these methods on square. Now, that's cool. It really is cool. But another thing that is cool is that overloading can be done on any method, including the constructor. So what we could do is we could overload the constructor by creating a constructor again and giving it a different inputs, right? So we've given it different inputs, and now what we're going to do is set the size to 3. And so what this means is that if I call the square constructor, but I don't give it an input, the size of the square is going to be 3 automatically. And I'll prove this to you. Square, we'll call this tester equals new square, like so. This is totally valid now. We can now call this with no inputs because we overloaded the square constructor. And then what we could do is call tester.print. So look what happens if we call tester.print, press play. Oh, look at that. We printed out, oh, let's get rid of Harold. It's confusing. We printed out a 3x3 thing. Now let's call tester.print with caret like this. Boom, square of carrots. So that's it. So overloading just allows you to make a method with different inputs. Now remember, it always has to give back the same output. The output cannot change. So you can only change the inputs to overload a method. That's a really important detail and you should remember it. And it makes a lot of logical sense because whenever you call a method, you need to know what it's giving you back, but you don't necessarily need to specify what's going in. That's it for now. Hope this helped. If you want to see more tutorials, check out the TVM YouTube channel and I'll see you next time.